3 simple habits that will allow you to learn any language fast. If you do these 3 simple things every single day, you will learn any language fast. And I'm not talking about understanding the language pretty well and speaking a little bit. If you do these 3 things every single day, you will learn to speak well as well, right? And these are the things. I'm not going to waste time in a really lengthy intro. The things that you need to do every single day: a memorization of vocabulary with associations, mnemonic associations, lots and lots of listening practice with native speaker content, and 3, retrieval practice. All right, let's talk about memorization first. Memorization of vocabulary is vital in language learning, simply because if you don't know the words, you will not be able to understand the language and you will not be able to speak it. So especially in the beginning, it's really important to learn as many words as possible every single day. And if you use mnemonic associations, you'll be able to do this 10, 20, 100 times faster than if you simply review vocabulary lists, you do comprehensible input, and you do things like repeating words aloud and space repetition and all that. All those things are good, but very, very slow. And if you want results fast, you need to use mnemonic associations. You can learn hundreds of words a day with this. You need to learn how to do it properly, right? It's a skill, it's a technique that you need to get good at. I've got plenty of tutorials on how to do this. Go watch them. I promise you, if you start doing this, start doing it with 20 words a day, 30 words a day, and you slowly increase the amount of daily words that you can memorize with mnemonic associations, which basically means taking a word, taking the meaning of the word, and creating a visual association of both. It can be fun, actually, if you do it properly, and it's extremely effective. And if you get good at this, you can do it with hundreds of words a day. So I highly, highly recommend you go watch those videos and start practicing daily. 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. Set a timer and start doing as many of them as possible. Yeah, create as many associations as possible every day and try to beat your number the next day. All right, so that's technique number 1. The second one is very, very simple. You need input. Input's very slow if you do it on its own. If you just do input, right? If you just start reading and listening to the language and watching videos, it's going to take thousands and thousands of hours of watching videos until you start to understand a little bit, and then eventually, maybe at some point, you can speak a little bit, but you don't have the time for that. You've got things to do. You've got a job or a business. You've got relationships, hopefully. You've got friends, you've got a family, you've got hobbies. You don't have 3 hours a day to watch YouTube videos for years, all right? So if you do the associations first, the input will get much, much more comprehensible from the very, very beginning. So you have to do 10 times less, yeah? So instead of 3,000 hours of YouTube videos, if you just listen to 200-300 hours of podcasts, that'll be enough to understand well, as long as you continue memorizing the vocabulary. But listening is extremely important, much more important than reading, simply because when you listen, you're learning the right pronunciation. When you're reading, you're not. So you memorize vocabulary with associations, and then you review that vocabulary in context by listening, and also you learn the right pronunciation. So that's number 2, yeah, extremely important. And number 3 is the most important of them all when it comes to speaking. This is retrieval practice. Retrieval practice is very simple. These are words or sentences that you already have learned, or at least seen once, and then you have to retrieve that information. It's stored there somewhere, but you need to because this is an important skill. Speaking is a skill, it's not just knowledge, yeah? Knowing the words is knowledge, but using the words in sentences that make sense, in coherent sentences and with the right pronunciation, that's a skill. Speaking is a skill. And for that, you need to practice this skill. And retrieval practice is the best way to practice this skill, because you are forcing yourself to come up with those sentences. How does it look in real life? Well, you get a list of sentences in the language that you're learning. You get the English or your native language translation for those sentences, and you'll first get the English version, and you translate that sentence, each one of those sentences, into the language that you're learning. And then you get immediate feedback. And you actually say the sentence aloud, so you practice just speaking. So first you have to come up with a translation in English, from English into the target language, and then you say it, you get the feedback, you repeat the sentence aloud if you made a mistake. With spaced repetition, it'll come up again at some point later in the day or in a couple of days. And you do it with the next sentence, and the next sentence, and the next sentence, with hundreds of sentences every single day. Always aloud, always paying attention to the feedback. And this way, you'll fix most of your mistakes, and you'll get used to saying things aloud all the time. So if you've been doing the two previous exercises, which are memorizing lots and lots of vocab and doing lots of listening, this will be pretty easy. Well, I'm lying. It'll be difficult at first. It'll be simple, not easy, but it'll be doable if you've been memorizing the vocab. But the beauty of this is that every hour you spend doing this is worth tens of hours of input, because you're struggling, it's difficult, but you're working on your ability to speak. And the more you do this exercise, the better you'll get at speaking. All right? So these are the three exercises, the only three exercises you need to do to get good at any language, to not only understand the language, but to also to speak it well. Yeah? So memorize lots of vocabulary every day. In fact, keep track of how many words you're memorizing every day and try to increase that number every day. And then do lots of listening, which you can do while you go for a run or you go in to work and back or something like that. And make sure you do retrieval practice every day. If you do these three things, you can speak any language well and understand it well in a matter of months.